Here is the story from 6th standard, The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book was written by Rudyard Kipling. The book has attracted audiences of all ages for its plot, structure, and characters. Children especially enjoy this story as it deals with the early childhood of a boy in the midst of wild animals in the forest. The characters are R. Jayantika 60A as a father wolf, V.S. Harini 6C as a mother wolf, R. Renushri 60A as a tobacco, the jackal, and fourth one M. Taniga 6B as a Sher Khan, the tiger. The wolf's cub number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and man's cub. Scene 1. The scene opens in the Seeonee Hills. It is 7 o'clock, a sunny evening in the middle of the jungle. The moon is yet to rise, and with no stars to brighten the sky, utter darkness surrounds the forest. Father Wolf wakes up from his day's rest, releases and spreads out his paws one after the other to make himself ready for the hunt. Mother Wolf, with her big grey nose, drops her 4 tumbling, squealing cubs into the mouth of the cave where they all live.
Oh, it is time to hunt again.
Moves down to spring downhill, where he notices a little shadow with a bushy tail at the entrance and whines.
Oh, Chief of the Wolves, good luck go with the noble children, that they may never forget the hungry in this world. Enter, then, and look, but there is no food here. For a wolf, it may not be enough, but for so mean a person as myself, a dry bone is a good feast. All thanks for this good meal.
Licking his lips.
How beautiful are the noble children, how large are their eyes, and so young. And so in Shekhan, the big one has shifted his hunting rules. He has told me that he will hunt among these hills for next month.
Sher Khan was a tiger who lived near the Wainganga river 20 miles away. Angrily,
He has no right to come here. By the law of the jungle, he has no right to change his quarters without due warning. If he comes here, he will frighten every head of game within 10 miles and I have to kill for 2 these days. His mother did not call him Lamli for nothing. He has been lamb in one foot from his birth. That's why he has only killed cattle. Now the villagers of the Wainganga are angry with him. And he has come here to make our villagers angry. They will scour the jungle for him. Then he is far away, and we and our children must run when the grass is set on fire. Indeed, we are grateful to Sher Khan. I go. You can hear Sher Khan below the forest.
Scene 2. Father Wolf listened, and below in the valley that ran down a little river, he hears the dry, angry whine of a tiger who has caught nothing and does not care. All the jungle knows it.
The fool, to begin a night's work with that noise. Does he think that our bucks are like this was Beganga bullock? Hush, it is neither bullock nor he hunts tonight. It's man. Man! Ha! Are there not enough beetles and men and on our ground too?
Scene 3. The law of the jungle, which never orders anything without a reason, forbids every beast to eat man except when he is killing to show his children how to kill, and then he must hunt outside the hunting grounds of his pack of tribe. The real reason for this is that man killing means sooner or later the arrival of men on elephants with guns and rockets and torches. Then everybody in the jungle suffers. The reason the bees give among themselves is that man is the weakest and most defenseless of all living things. And it is true that man-eaters become mangy and lose their teeth. The puff grew louder and ended in the full-throated howl.
Ogre.
Then there was a howl, an untigerish howl from Sher Khan.
He has missed. What is it? The fool has had no more sense than to jump at your woodcutter's campfire and has burned his feet. The battle is with him. Something is coming uphill. Get ready.
The bushes rusted a little in the forest, and Father Wolf dropped with his haunches under him, ready for his leap. Then, if you had been watching, you would have seen the most wonderful thing in the world. The wolf checked in midsummer. He made his bound before he saw what it was he was jumping at, and then tried to stop himself. The result was that he shot up straight into the air for 4 or 5 feet, landing almost where he left the ground.
Man! Yeah, man's come! Look!
Directly in front of him, holding on by a low branch, stood a naked baby who could just walk, as soft and as dimpled a little atom as ever came to a wolf's cave at night. He looked up into the father wolf's face and laughed.
Is that man's cub? I never seen one. Bring it here.
A wolf accustomed to moving his own cubs can, if necessary, eat an egg without breaking it. And though Father Wolf's jaws closed right on the child's back, not a tooth, even scratched the skin as he laid it down among the cubs.
How little, how naked, and how bold.
The baby was pushing his way between the cubs to get close to the warm hide.
So this is a man's cub. Now was there a wolf that could boast of a man's cub among our children? I have heard now and again of such a thing, but never in our pack or in my time. But see, he looks up and is not afraid.
The moonlight was blocked out of the mouth of the cave, for Sher Khan's great square head and shoulders were thrust into the entrance. Tobacco behind him was squeezing.
My lord, it went in here. Sher Khan does us great honor. What does he need? My query, a man's cub went this way. His parents have run off. Give it to me.
Sher Khan had jumped at a woodcutter's campfire, as Father Wolf had said, and was furious from the pain of his burned feet. But Father Wolf knew that the mouth of the cave was too narrow for a tiger to come in by. Even where he was, Sher Khan's shoulders and 4 paws were cramped for want of room, as a man's cub would be if he tried to fight in a barrel.
The wolves are a free people. They take orders from the head of the pack and not from any striped cattle killer. The man's cub is ours to hunt if we choose. What dog is this of choosing? It is I, Sher Khan, who speaks.
The tiger's roar filled the cave with thunder. Mother Wolf shook herself clear of the cubs and sprang forward, her eyes like 2 green moons in the darkness, facing the blazing eyes of Sher Khan.
And it's Raksha, the demon, who answers the man's cub is mine. He shall live to run with the pack and to hunt with the pack, and in the end he shall hunt you.
Father Wolf looked on amazed. He had almost forgotten the days when he won Mother Wolf in a firefight from 5 other wolves. When she ran in the pack and was not caught, the demon, for complainant's sake, Sher Khan might have faced Father Wolf, but he could not stand up against Mother Wolf. For he knew that where he was, she had all the advantage of the ground and would fight to the death, so backed out of the cave, mouth growling, and when he was clear, he shouted,
Each dog walks in his own yard. We will see what the pack will say to this fostering of man cubs. The man cub is mine and will come to me in the end.
Scene 4. Mother Wolf threw herself down panting among the cubs. The father wolf said to her gravely,
Shere Khan speaks this much truth. The cub must be shown to the pack. Will you still keep him, mother? Keep him. He came naked by night, alone and very hungry. Yet he was not afraid. Look, he has pushed one of my babies to one side already, and that lamb would have killed him, and I would have run off to the vine Ganga. While the villagers here hunted through all our layers in revenge. Keep him. Assuredly, I will keep him. Lie still, little frog. Oh, you Mowgli, for Mowgli the frog. I will call you. The time will come when you will hunt Shere Khan as he has hunted you.
The story does not end here. It continues with many more episodes, such as the acceptance of Mowgli by the pack of wolves, the friendship between Bagheera and Mowgli, Mowgli's adventurous trips in the jungle with Balu the bear, the fight between Mowgli and the monkey's gang, etc. Eventually, Mowgli is forced to leave the jungle and he goes to live in the village. Later, he decides to return to the jungle and live there. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.